All right, this is a bonus episode of the podcast, so I can't start the normal way, so I'm going to leave it up to you. How do you want this to start?
Oh, I think it's just important to, for those who can't see, the bonus episode has bonus hair. My hair is down for the first time, I think, on the podcast. That's what was the, yeah.
Oh, not for the first time, because I made fun of you at length.
Have you? Okay, it's been a while, though. It's been a while since I had my hair down.
But the worst part about it is that your hair, like, morphed into your beard. Yeah. I need to fix it.
Okay.
There's so much hair connected
there
to
is,
your beard.
Yeah. It needs a good wash and condition. It's been, the dry Texas heat has been drying out my hair. It's not great.
For sure. So the reason we're doing this bonus episode, so if you listen to, I don't even know the numbers, episode 295, I believe, was the first episode of you being here in Texas. Yep. You were here for a retreat that we talked about. We had not gone on yet. A few hours later, we recorded an episode, me, you, and John, that also came out this week. That was recorded, just because it was a few hours later. We didn't go on a 2-hour retreat, So now we are back for this little bonus episode. Father Anthony's final episode here in Texas. You're hopping on a plane in like 2 hours.
Yeah.
But we wanted to give you a retreat recap and kind of some of our insights from the retreat, some of our highlights and that sort of thing. So I'm going to leave the floor open to you first. We're going to go through the retreat kind of chronologically, share some of our favorite parts and that sort of thing. But just overall impressions. How was it for you? Did it meet your expectations? And what grade do you give me specifically?
Okay, so
you don't have to answer the last one.
I definitely will. So the first thing that struck me is that, like, when I imagine Texas, that's where we were at retreat.
100%.
It's definitely like Texas in my East Coast brain.
Right, but it's specifically not that way where I live.
Yeah,
it looks more like a normal place.
It looks more like
when we drive like 3.5 hours.
But there were cactus and the rolling hills and stuff, and they were just very nice, very nice. And so I was very much looking forward to this retreat. I knew it was gonna be a little more of a casual retreat, right? Because I've talked about how for retreats I usually like silence. I knew I wasn't gonna get like any silence for this, but that was fine. It was gonna be. Because Taylor's going to be screaming the entire time. But it was good. It was a good mix of kind of adventuring stuff, of relaxing, hanging out with the guys, and prayer. And they all were pretty well balanced. You've got some cool friends and some cool family members. So just hanging out with those guys, seeing some I've never seen before, but I've talked with before, that was great. Lectio Divina was great. And you know what I really liked? I liked being able to say Mass for you guys.
Yeah.
And just being there and doing adoration. That was good for me to do for you guys. I really enjoyed that as well. So overall, the retreat was, for me, solid A. Taylor, you personally, like, C+.
C+, yeah. So those of you who have listened to the show for a while know that I constantly make fun of my co-host, but most specifically you and Liv.
Yeah.
And specifically for you, I've made fun of like you messing up in Mass because it's your professional job. Like it's all you need to be good at,
right.
And so like I've found videos and clips and stuff. You didn't mess up once during Mass.
I did a great job.
I only played music a little bit. I played for one Mass and I played for our one time we had adoration. I messed up.
It was great. That brought joy to it. That helped me pray more, actually.
Yeah, exactly.
I was like,
you're like, there really is a God.
Justice.
It was good. I messed up the psalm. Yeah. We just kind of, plowed through it. It was fine. We were all getting a couple hours of sleep every night. Yeah. And I was tired. And we're just going to be honest. I was halfway through singing the psalm and I just kind of zoned out and forgot what I was doing.
Yeah.
Which doesn't usually happen.
Yeah.
But I was just so relaxed. I think it was a room thing too. Usually you go to church at a church.
Right.
Most often, right? But I had been in this room. I had played poker in this spot. I played pool in this spot. There were 39 animal heads
staring
this
at us.
spot. I had, had drinks in this spot. That wasn't the reason I messed up. I hadn't drank that day. But it was a relaxing place, and I just started zoning out, and I was like, "Oh yes, I am currently in the lead." So I thought that was fun. Okay, so for me, to be fair, I give you a solid C+ as well.
Yeah.
No, you did great. I give you an A. You were I give you an A-. You were grumpy a little bit. Sometimes.
I was a little bit grumpy.
Yeah. Which was honestly though, like didn't bother me at all because I'm used to it. And we talk about a lot that that you have humanized the priesthood for me and a lot of other people. That it was just a Wall Street Journal about the article about that.
Yeah.
But I think even for the guys there, it's like, oh, like he's a real person. Like he gets frustrated when you don't have coffee and these sorts of things too. So for me, it was great, man. It's one of those things where it's always when I do something new, you never know how it's going to go.
Right.
But the good thing was I wasn't in charge. It's like I was in charge of getting everybody there, but Paul George, not the basketball player, the Catholic speaker, who's been a mentor of mine for forever. I looked up to him. He practically changed my life when I was a kid. And now we're friends and doing ministry together, which is crazy. But he's the one that kind of got me connected with this ranch where we're able to go. And most retreats I've done have been like 50 people, 20 people, 100 people. So I was like, this 9, it maxes out at 11.
Mm-hmm.
They prefer you to have 10. We had 10. One person couldn't make it. So we had 9 people.
Yeah.
So I'm like, how does a retreat for this many people work?
Yeah.
I'm a big fancy Catholic speaker. I don't speak for 9 people,
right.
So I was wondering how that was going to go, and it was just such a mix of people. So everybody that was invited, this is the first of many that we're going to be doing of these retreats. But this one, I wanted to invite people who had made a big impact in my life or were big financial donors. And I realized on the way there, it's like everybody was both. Like everybody there has given me a substantial amount of money and also attempted to make me a better person. So it's good. But like you talked about the balance of we had prayer every day, we had mass every day, and then we had some kind of adventure or fun stuff and some hanging out every day.
Yeah.
And but there was also a balance of people.
Yeah, there really was.
So there was me, you, and my best friend from home, Jacob. We're all young 30s.
Yeah.
Right. And so you kind of had the young contingency, and Sean McAfee. He's in that young. I knew I was missing one. With that young contingency, right? Mm-hmm. And then right in the middle, in the mid 40s, we had Paul George, the guy leading the retreat.
Yeah.
And Nathan.
Yeah.
Kind of in that a couple about 10, 15 years older than us. And then you had the older guys, right? So my dad and 2 of my uncles. Mm-hmm. So we had this balance of ages. We had this balance of people who have worked in the church, people who have been involved in the church, and then my one Protestant best friend. There's a good balance. We had a good balance of everybody. So anyway, we go out. So I ultimately I really enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun. So we get there Thursday, right? And you talked about we go from where I live, which is incredibly flat, and 250,000 people live here.
Yeah, it's like suburban area,
right. Yeah, so we get out, and it takes about 10 minutes before you get into nothing, right? But it's flat for 3 hours of our 3.5 hour drive, and the last 30 minutes, it's just God was like, I deem this place beautiful. It's a Texas hill country, so there's these rolling hills, and it's just beautiful, sprawling land. So we arrive, we get there.
Wait, real quick before we get there, because we had a little bit of a controversy. I want to bring this up and let people comment on this.
You sure did.
So
you want people to tell you that you're wrong, but you don't have a place on the internet for people to go to tell you that you're wrong anymore.
I think I'm right. Actually, I know I'm right, but I think our society is falling to pieces. So, we've got 2 podcasters in the car. What are we going to do? Spend time going to our retreat, listening to podcasts.
Because we don't talk unless we're getting paid.
Exactly. Yeah, no. So you started playing up one of your favorite podcasts, and I'm listening to it. I'm like, this is really weird. I said, what speed do you have this on? Assuming that you had made some sort of terrible mistake. And you said very nonchalantly 1.5 speed. I said, well, fix it. And you said, no, this is how I listen to podcasts. I'm like, that's insane. And you're like, everyone listens to podcasts at 1.5 speed. And I'm like, that's insane.
I didn't say everyone.
You said most people.
Most people. I want to win the argument. Most people listen at a sped up speed, and the most common is 1.5. I have data to back me up.
I think it's ridiculous. That's not how you live or listen. How's your brain?
It's how I live.
It is. You're fast and loud. I get that. But I have no desire to cram in these podcasts. Like for me, they're a way to spend time. And I was listening to this 1.5 speed and like getting anxious and having a headache. And like, so you were very nice because you saw me very quietly.
I wasn't very nice for a little bit.
For a while. I was like, you know what? Taylor's driving me. It's his car. He can play it, his rules. I just like closed my eyes and continued to seethe in my seat for, I don't know, half hour.
It was, I wanted to go, it was exactly 30 minutes. I watched you turn in from a normal human being to a gremlin that was about to, like, we play enough video games.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like a little gremlin, like you beat him up too much and then, you know, you think you've defeated him and he returns as a big golem-like creature. Mm-hmm. We were at that turning point.
Yeah. Okay. I just wanted to bring that up because that was very important.
So here's my follow-up question.
Okay.
Well, 1.5 is the correct thing. Most people don't notice it, but it makes an hour podcast 45 minutes.
Sure.
So instead of listening to like 2 podcasts a day, I can listen to, you know, 3, 4, maybe 5. Some podcasts and audiobooks, I listen to at 2 times speed because I'm smarter than you and my brain works faster and I can retain all these information.
No, this is modernism. This is trying to cram. It's all about utility, not about enjoying the moment, being in the moment.
No, it's about growing as a person, and I want to do it faster than you.
Well, you have a lot of catching up to do. I can understand that.
I'll catch you up for that one. But here, let's see how smart you are.
Okay.
Did you notice anything about the podcast on the way home?
Did you do 1.2 speed?
I did.
I didn't notice that.
Because, like any gateway drug, you gotta start small. Because the feeling that you have on certain podcasts, I would say most podcasts for me, 1.5 speed is the fastest that I can go. Mm-hmm. If I jump to 2, I start feeling like you felt going from 1 to 1.5. Yeah. 1.5 is the correct way to listen. We didn't listen to anything at 1 speed the whole rest of the way home.
Wow.
Yeah.
You duped me.
I did.
Okay.
I'm winning. Okay, anyway, back to the retreat.
The actual retreat, yes.
Now that I have defeated you, we get to the retreat. And there's this lodge that it's a pretty big place for 10 people, but you know the bedding wise is why we can't bring any more people. And the lodge is on 40 acres. Mm-hmm. And I asked we met the ranch hand and his wife who was the chef the whole weekend. Mm-hmm. Incredible food.
Yeah,
they were great. 40 acres on this side of the ranch. An acre is about a football field, is what he told me.
Yeah.
So 40 football fields. That's just a temporary place while they build this huge villa.
Yeah.
Across the street, where the ranch they own is 11,000 acres. I made the mistake of the first day hearing 1,100.
Right.
Because I have some people in my family that have quite a deal of money, and their ranch, when I was a kid, I literally thought it never ended. And it was 1,100 acres.
Yeah.
This was 11,000 acres. And one of the first things that we did was drive through the property. Mm-hmm. What happened there?
Yeah, so you see a lot of deer, you expect that, and then we saw something cool. We saw a buffalo. Like, that's cool. I expect that in Texas. And the one thing that kind of really threw us off was zebras. There were a significant amount of zebras on this ranch, and they're all hanging out, and they would get real close to the car. They were super chill and everything. Zebras.
I woke up that day and I knew it was going to be a great day.
Right.
You were in town. I was about to see all these guys who are super close to me. We were going to have a great time at this wonderful place that I'd seen pictures of. I had never been to, but it's country that I've been to before. The camp that I worked at in college is 2 miles away from this place.
Right.
Like, I know generally what it looks like. No zebras on that Christian campground.
No.
You mentioned all the things. There was, all these buffalo, these bite, everybody yells buffalo, bison, whatever. They're the same thing.
Yeah.
There's these tons of different types of deer, right? Yeah. But I've seen buffalo. This is my second time ever seeing buffalo in real life. I've seen zebras in a at a zoo or whatever.
Yeah.
I was not expecting to see African mammals when I woke up that day.
No.
And the crazy thing is all these animals would come up I took a selfie with a zebra.
You did, yeah.
And it was it was there. It was in the picture.
Yeah.
Like, it was 4 feet away from us, so it was just crazy. It was this, oh my goodness. This is just not what I was expected. And it's absolutely beautiful. So we we finished that up. Everybody kind of gets settled. We have lunch and dinner. If you can tell from the video, if you're watching the video, we've both gained 10 pounds since our last episode a week ago. It was so very good. And then we had our first session. So you've done Lectio Divina before,
Yes.
but Paul was leading the retreat and leading us in Lectio Divina. And like I've led Lectio Divina at retreats before, but there were some things about how Paul led it that kind of opened up, unlocked some things for me. You've done Lectio before too. Was it really similar to stuff you've done before, or was there some flares that you missed?
No. It was basically for me. There's been kind of like two styles. One is kind of like focusing on like the words, what sticks out to you, and then praying with that. And another kind is kind of with your imagination, like putting yourself into the story, right? So, and he talked about both styles and everything. Now, I'll be real honest. I was like, okay, for this religious stuff that we're gonna do, maybe I'll just sit it out because this is probably stuff for beginners. I'm a priest. I'm super spiritual. I'm super holy. I should probably just go by myself. But I'll humor.
You only pray when you get paid for it.
Yeah, exactly. But I'll join. But Paul was great. Like I really enjoyed every session that we had, and Lectio was great. And yeah, it was very. The Lord was using it in my life. So yeah.
I'm stealing how he did Lectio Divina, how he set it up. Because how I've done it before is like, typically when I'm running a retreat, there's a theme, right? And it's like, oh, what talk did I'm not able to get to? Let's pray with that story so at least they get some Lectio, right? So I would always choose the story. But what he did the first night was he said, I'm going to open it. There's 4 different stories. And he's like, if you're feeling like this, read this one. If you're feeling like this, read this. Like the examples were something like, if you're feeling like you've been away from God for a while, read and pray with this story. If you're feeling like you need encouragement, read this one. If you feel like you're ready to take the next step in your faith journey, read this one. And so there were options. I've never had options. I've never been given options, and I've never given options in Lectio other than the whole Bible.
Yes.
Pick a story.
Pick a story.
So technically I've given options, but not curated options. So there's 4 that first night. And then the next day we did Lectio every day. And the next day he opened it up to, there was like 20 options. So it's like once we got more comfortable with it, because a lot of people, it was their first time doing Lectio. And there were like 20 options. It was the same kind of thing. If you're feeling this, pray with this story. And I just thought that was so good because it's like, I had done, you have to do this story or literally any story, but it's just like having, everybody knows I'm a huge fan of having some kind of structure to rein in the crazy, right?
Yeah.
So I just thought that was really helpful and cool.
Yeah, and I was really impressed because after we did our Lectio, and they were shorter sessions, but we did it and it was nice. Everyone shared and everyone was real genuine. Like, I didn't expect everyone to be that like open and honest, and that was really cool to see as well. Because we had basically most of us had just met each other. And we just jumped into this, and it was really cool.
Yeah, it was. So the quote unquote rules of Lectio is you read the same passage over and over again. And it's usually like, 5-6 verses or like a, half a chapter or something like that. And I did that the first night. And I believe it was the second time that we did Lectio. I was praying with a section from the book of Joel, right? Joel, whatever, in the Old Testament. And I didn't follow the rule because I had my chapter. Yeah. And I read it and I was like, doesn't really make sense. I think I need some kind of context. Yeah. So my first idea was it was chapter 2 of Joel. And I looked at it. I was like, how many chapters is it? And they're like, it's 4. I was like, okay, I'm gonna go back and read chapter 1. So I read chapter 1 and then I read chapter 2 and then I pause again to pray because that's what you're supposed to do once you read it again. Yeah. And I was like, oh, this actually gives it a lot more context. And like starts making a little bit more sense with my life. Because chapter 2 of Joel is a lot of like encouragement of like, hey, God is back. It's time to respond to him. Yeah. Let's go for it. Right. Yeah. And I was like, I've been talking about that. I've been feeling that since like January. But I was like, what's the context of this? And sure enough, I go back and I read chapter 1. And it's all like, God is nowhere. He is gone and he is desolate and he is going to destroy all of you nations. And then,
but after that,
chapter 2, he's like, I'm going to return to you. Not if, but essentially, turn back to me and then your life will be better. Right. Yeah. And then I read it and I'm like, okay, I'm halfway done with Joel.
You're halfway done.
I gotta finish
finish it. Yeah.
So then I keep reading, which is completely like quote unquote against the rules for Lectio. You're supposed to stay focused on this thing, not read a whole book of the Bible. Yeah. But then I kept reading and I read chapter 3 and chapter 4. And it was essentially like, 3 kind of continued that God is blessing you with all these good things. And then about halfway through, it was just a reminder of like, hey, don't go back.
Yeah.
Or things are going to suck. And I was like, that's exactly what I needed.
Yeah.
That's been the path of my life for the last 2 years. Everything sucks and God has abandoned you.
Yes.
And then, hey, he's back. Everything's good. But remember, don't leave. It was perfect.
Good. That's good. Yeah.
It was very good. So the next morning, we wake up and there was something you were very excited about for some 5. So the scheduled breakfast started at 8.
Yeah.
But 5 o'clock was the real invitation for you and everyone was invited. I immediately said no because you could say like, hey, you have a 1 in 9 chance of winning $1 million, and I might think about waking up at 5, but probably not.
Yeah. So the one thing I really wanted to do, and we have an opportunity to, was to go hunting. I've never gone hunting before. I've shot guns before on the range, that kind of thing. But I really wanted to go hunting, and basically, wild boars are like this terrible pest in Texas. Like they're invasive species. They're a big mess. So getting rid of them helps, wildlife and ecosystem. And I get to shoot a pig. So woke up at 5 o'clock with my buddy Sean, and we go down to the blind, and it's quiet. I am super tired. I had stayed up too late, but we're doing this. And we sat in this blind, this little box, for 3 hours and did not see any wildlife. And I was very cranky.
Yeah.
I got no sleep,
Sure.
and there's no reward. And we saw a few little birds hopping around, but nothing.
Just some
Yeah.
you darn pigeon.
I thought about it.
Yeah, I know you did. You started looking at Sean weird. Like,
It's like, Sean, maybe stretch your legs out there. We go for a little jog.
I was promised to kill. Oh man,
Yeah.
But you didn't get to shoot an animal. But my dad and my uncle did. They got
a pig.
They got to kill a pig. But I had gone hunting before. I had never gone skeet shooting before.
Yes.
You had.
I had, yeah.
So we all got to go skeet shooting twice on the second day and the third day. And so, he's all these bros out there, a bunch of guys who had done it a ton of times before, right? Me, and I guess it was just me and my dad had never done it before.
Yeah.
Which surprised me because my dad's like the man's man. He's gone hunting a ton. I think he just thought it was like wasting time. He wanted to shoot at live animals.
Yeah, wasting time and ammo. Yeah.
So we had an absolute blast.
Yes.
So we got to go skeet shooting. Everybody kind of took turns. It was, for me, it was like a lot. I had never shot a shotgun before. So I got like learning how to load it, how to pump it, how to shoot it. But what's funny is this came up twice with with skeet shooting on the horizon, and playing pool, because you and Sean played a lot of pool.
We did play a lot of pool, yeah.
And one of my life mottos is I don't do things that I'm bad at, so it looks like I'm good at everything.
Right, yeah.
I don't play pool often, and I had never shot skeet.
Yeah.
So I was like, this is gonna suck.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna be so bad at it, and all these guys that closest to me, and when it's this manly time of let's all shoot things, and I'm gonna look stupid.
Yeah.
Like I'm not gonna hit anything. First skeet goes out.
Nailed it.
Second, third, fourth, fifth. I hit the first 5 in a row.
Yeah, you did great.
I finally missed on my 6th one.
Yeah.
And I was like, I turned around, I was like, take that, Dad. All my video games paid off. So I never physically shot the gun, but like tracking, tracking a target.
Yeah.
It finally paid off.
There you go.
32 years.
Yeah, you did. It was a lot of fun.
So we had a blast doing that. Everybody got to shoot. We all got little like bruises on our shoulders.
Like bruised chest, shoulder.
But then the other thing is like this day and the next day, we got a lot of like free time during the day. So we got to like at all times there were a couple people playing pool, a couple people playing poker, all these different conversations going around the house. Yeah. And for the most part, everybody just kind of rotated, right? It's like, oh, I haven't talked to you yet.
Yeah.
What's your deal?
Yeah, it really was. It really was. It was,
So it was really cool seeing, like you said, like I was the only person connected to all 8 of these people, right? For you, like you knew 2 of them from the internet, and we had met in person,
right?
Like my dad and my uncles, obviously they knew each other. They knew me. My best friend had known a couple of them, and so like everybody had like a few connections. But by the end, it's like everybody was just kind of chilling and hanging out. we played a lot of poker. You seem to enjoy that thoroughly.
I love poker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was fun. And I get to play once a month.
Mhm.
You were like, I haven't played since seminary.
Yeah.
I need to win money. And
Yeah,
you did.
I did.
You
It
won the first game.
Won the first game, and then I won the third game. I went out, and then when another guy just didn't want to play anymore, so I took his chips, and then I won.
He wanted to keep playing. He was just being kind to you.
Well, either way, I had a great time.
I'm just making sure you knew that. He didn't give up. He was like, oh, poor priest. Let's let him play.
That's lame.
Yes. A brother caring for you. Super lame. But then, so the final day, we have mass, we have adoration. And it was cool because like usually with adoration, like I'm used to like having it with teens and all the fancy incense and all the like the lyrics up on the wall or whatever. And this was just super chill. We had taken like the spiritual gifts assessment. Well, you didn't. You took a nap.
Yeah.
But the rest of us took a spiritual gifts assessment, and we got to kind of like pray through our gifts. I got to share with them like the updates of some things that have been happening the last year of Forte Catholic and some things that are coming up in the next year, which is neat. We just got to kind of pray for the ministry, pray for gifts. It was just really cool for me because like a lot of these people in this room, like I had never really like seen pray other than mass, right? Like I've been to mass with everybody in the room, but it's like seeing people just like take time to pray was like really cool for me.
Yeah, really was. Yeah, same deal. And you and I were very well behaved at all of the holy things.
Yes.
Like, because I was worried, like, are we going to try to make jokes or like, are we going to ruin it for each other?
No.
And we didn't. We were focused. We prayed. We did our thing. I was very proud of us.
It's like we're professionals and we've been doing this for a while or something.
So, it was good. It was good. So I was able to enter into prayer and all those things. And seeing the guys. That's why I like kind of being a priest for the guys in those moments was really nice because everyone was really praying. And that makes me happy.
Well, you did ruin one thing.
What did I ruin?
So we'll get to it.
Okay.
But a little bit of backstory. So this room, I mentioned it earlier. There were 39 deer, elk, cow, longhorn, rams, lambs. So
birds, ducks, goose.
Oh my! So like the first night, there's the first mass, and I'm like like quote unquote into mass, right? Like I'm not doing music, so I'm able to sit there and kind of and like fully pray with it. And I get to the end and I go, oh, like I'm a social media person. I need to take a picture.
Yeah.
So I pull out my phone like during the closing prayer, and I snap a picture, and I don't notice anything about it, right? Because I've been in this room for a while, and then I look at the picture a few hours later and I show it to you and I said, there's something about this picture that I think is a first for you. Yeah. And what was it?
It was the deer head right above my shoulder. Yeah.
Right over your right shoulder, there's a deer.
Just like checking out mass. Just there.
He's like, whoa, that bread became a human. Did y'all see that?
Yeah.
It felt like to me, it felt like Toy Story, where like the toys come to life at night. Mm-hmm. I imagine that every night we went to sleep, the longhorns were like, hey, how's it doing? And the deer were like, I'm just hanging out, like.
Yeah, there was a lot of eyeballs looking at you at all times. And like literally above my bed, I don't know why they did this. There was a deer looking down at me above my bed as I slept. Luckily, when the lights were off, I couldn't see him, but I knew he was there.
Like God.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's always watching.
Yeah. So it's like, I got used to it, but every once in a while it would become uncanny again. And then you get used to it again. So it was, odd.
I woke up to use the bathroom in the middle of the night. I have a similar large animal in my room, and I walked out and just completely like normal walking speed because it's pitch black. Yeah, normal walking speed, completely face planted into a cow mounted on the side of the wall. Woke up Paul. It was great. Yeah. Okay, but here's where you messed up.
What did I do?
On the final night, you made the cow sound. The final night we're doing adoration. We this is the last liturgical thing we're doing because we did the vigil mass for Saturday already that day. So we, like you said, we were very serious. We did everything. Even in the prep, we were like pretty serious, right? And I'm like, the signal is the musician's always in charge of adoration.
It's just easier that way.
Yeah, because it's like, hey, we don't have to communicate. When I say please kneel, and start singing now. I
know exactly what to do. I love it.
It's time for you to walk up the altar and take Jesus away.
Yes,
right?
Yes.
You want to explain to the people what happened when you got up to go?
Yeah. So it's we got couches and stuff in the room and everything, and I'm like trying to navigate it. I'm doing fine. But as I was going up to going up to do my prayers and everything, something that I don't think will ever happen to me again in my priesthood happened, and I tripped on a antler. There was an antler on the ground that I tripped on. I didn't face plant, thank goodness, but it was a very obvious trip, and it was very obvious that I knocked over an antler. So it's not the usual hazards I deal with,
Right, exactly.
So that was slight mistake.
It was a little flub, but to be fair, it fit with the unofficial theme of the retreat. There was no theme going in. People were like a lot of guys were asking, "Is there a theme?" I was like, "Just show up, man. Like they're just gonna hang out and pray and shoot stuff."
Yeah.
Which is just incredible. Like that's what a men's retreat should be, right? Yeah. And I forgot what I was going to say.
The theme of the retreat.
Oh yeah, the theme of the retreat, right? So the first night, my first Lectio Divina is a story. I tried to avoid it, but I was like, actually, I think God's kind of calling to it. There's a story that I practically have memorized because I give talks on it all the time, right? And it's the story of blind Bartimaeus. And the story that I know is it's the apostles saying, he's going, Son of David, have pity on me. And the apostles go, shut up, leave Jesus alone.
Correct.
That's my translation.
Basically, yeah.
But pretty close to what they actually say. And then Jesus says, call him. And they immediately change. And they're like, take courage, rise, go see Jesus, right? Yeah. Take courage is the translation I always have. But the ones that Paul printed out, and he ended up laughing about it too, instead of take courage, it said, cheer up. So it's like it would be like me punching you in the face and then going, cheer up, old boy.
Like, wait. Emotional whiplash.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So that, like, we all laughed about it. I laughed about it. Paul laughed because he recognized that it wasn't like probably the correct translation. Yeah. But it, like, we kept saying to each other, cheer up, sport. Like throughout the thing. And so we did all this serious prayer, and it was our final prayer of the thing. Of the whole retreat, and it just brought us all some cheer to watch you trip over the deer antlers.
Absolutely.
So it was great. So I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the prayer time. I enjoyed, like, really for me, it was just the conversations around, with everybody. I got to talk to everybody, which was really cool, multiple times. Got to shoot things. We drank a lot of whiskey. It was good. Any final thoughts?
It was just that I was very thankful for everything, for you inviting me, for our friendship, for
you're welcome,
for everyone who made it possible. Like, this has been a great week for me.
Yeah, I'm glad. And I was a little worried because, like, the week before you came here on your other podcast, Collectively Speaking, you were talking about what you mentioned earlier. You're like, I like silent retreats, I like quiet. I'm like, it's not what this is at all. He's gonna hate it.
Yeah. And I do like very much silent retreats, but like it was in the middle of the retreat where I looked at you, I'm like, this is actually exactly what I needed.
And I was on pins and needles until you said that. Yeah. I was like, good.
Yeah. It was very providential. It was exactly what I needed.
That's great. You're just what I needed. Okay. So to close us out. So the good news is this was the first one, hopefully, of many. Yeah. So I posted about it. Like, I didn't tell it. This was like an invite only, like just
the soft opening.
Yeah. Soft opening. Right. But I'm going to be, like, starting to open these up and run these retreats every few months or so, right? So what we're going to do is, I don't have dates right now, but if you're a guy that's interested in a retreat that sounds very similar to what we did here, fortecatholic.com/retreats. You'll just give me your information over the next, I'm not going to email you all the time. Essentially, once we have dates, I'd like to send you an email, say, hey, come and join us. Here's the 2 dates, pick one, that sort of thing. We might just have one day. It's not all set in stone yet, right? But we're going to be doing, like, I want to do like 2 a fall, 2 a spring, and maybe one or 2 in the summer. So pretty affordable. It helps support the ministry, and then great retreat, and a great way for us to meet people who have been listeners, supporters of the show for a long time, that I've either met once or twice, but like have I ever spent a weekend with most people that listen? No. So it's really good. Ladies, sorry, I don't have anything for you yet. That'll be next. We'll get Allison to start running some retreats something at some point. But for right now, it's just for the guys. So guys, if you're listening, I'd love for you to come and do a retreat with us in Central Texas. Ladies, send your husbands, send your sons, send your dads, grandpas, all that stuff. ForteCatholic.com/retreats for some more information. I'm glad you were able to come. It was very nice that you were the first priest that gets to come. And a lot of people that were on the retreat, like, we need to do this every year. So maybe once a year you'll come down and be the priest once a year.
Yeah.
You're not coming for all 6.
No, that's too much.
Neither of us want that. No. All right. Well, how do we end a bonus episode?
Goodbye.
Love you. Achoo!
That's good. I was going for awkward, and you really took it to the next level.
Yeah.